Welcome to Module 2. We are moving right along. So before we dive into the various content management system platforms, I want to talk about the various models, as I mentioned, of e-commerce or online revenue streams so that we're thinking about what our websites can do beyond just being a portfolio or information site. That doesn't have to be right away, but all of the platforms we're going to look at have that capability of integrating e-commerce and memberships and all sorts of additional revenue stream opportunities. So why e-commerce? Why am I pushing this at you? Well, because there's so many ways for us to, again, future-proof our businesses here. And that's what we're asked for all the time. I don't know too many companies now who aren't saying, I really wish I had some sort of way to monetize my current offering in an online environment. Or, I wish I could, but there's no way. Well, I'm going to try and tell you that there is. In fact, every single one of us can find a way to sell online. And when we do, plenty of benefits. Ta-da! My favorites here. We build once, we sell often. This is a coaching or a training model like Social School has, but it goes beyond that. If you're able to create something that you can digitize and replicate, maybe it's a piece of art, maybe it's a download, maybe it's some kind of cocktail ebook or a course, sure, or a training program that you can repeat constantly and build once, sell often to a large audience. That's the definition of scale. So that we're now not just speaking one-to-one or working one-to-one in a physical environment or a face-to-face. We are working one-to-many, and I love that. So we're making money in our sleep. I'll tell you that there was no more satisfying moment after a year of shifting from selling a service to people I knew to selling a product online to strangers. And I had to do a much bigger volume to many more people at a lower price point than I was doing before. But the day that $800 landed in my PayPal account while I was sleeping to a stranger in Australia who bought my program, I was like, you mean I don't have to service this person for 3 months straight and answer their every phone call at all hours of the day, and I don't have to just focus on their business entirely for months on end? It's done. They just bought. Great. I don't have to do anything. It was really, really cool. So yes, make money in your sleep is not as easy as it sounds. Passive revenue and passive income are sometimes a bit of a misnomer because they do take a lot of babysitting and a lot to build them. I don't like it when people discount the amount of energy that goes into selling online. However, you can absolutely sell to strangers. So we're complementing our existing business model, perhaps. You've got something now and you can create that small side revenue or some kind of product to supplement or support your services that is, just an entirely new way for you to make money in your business or for some of your staff to, or whatever it is. We're going to look at some cool case studies and pivot stars that did that really well. And then, as I mentioned, we can now speak to a global audience, which is so neat. The fact that we live in a time where we can sell to anyone, anywhere, and have international customers finding us, believing in us, falling in love with us from all of our social content and e-newsletters and blog content that brings them in and magnetizes them to us so they want to buy from us because they have affinity and trust in us. And then we can sell to them and ship it the next day. It's unreal. This is a really magical time. Our grandparents did not know this world. And yes, we can sell to anyone, anywhere, and do really, really well by it. I'm not going to say you'll have a 4-hour work week, but it can be life-changing. So the models, let's look at a few of the options and opportunities here. These are the main ones in my opinion, although there may be others that you've stumbled on or hybrids of these. So of course, the online store. Look no further than Shopify, Canada's highest earning company or most high net worth valued company. It's unbelievable. It's past every other oil company, airline, bank, you name it. Shopify, built as an e-commerce website provider for all of us who want to fire up our online stores in 5 minutes, an hour, and sell whatever it is that we want to strangers. A digital product, usually this is downloads or, could be something that you ship physically that was, bought, purchased digitally like a piece of art or a piece of music, but that's sort of more online store. A digital product is generally something that is downloadable. It costs very little for the practitioner or the salesperson, the seller to create. And so their margins are generally quite high. But that's not to say or discount the amount of creative or intellectual property that went into them or the time to service the technology behind it, all of that. Number 3 is a membership. And this is where we really start to see that passive income stream come to life in a positive way, in a really powerful way. Memberships are often, something that is started in, say, a Facebook group that then is monetized through a membership-based website. We see these often in Kajabi. They're in Mighty Networks. There's lots of growing membership-based sites, or even Squarespace and Shopify. You can host membership plugins that allow you to create a membership model and actually charge for it, which is really, really cool. And of course, you don't need me to tell you that if you have ongoing recurring income every month, you're not starting from scratch on the first of every month, and that is an amazing place to be. And then finally, courses and coaching. So slightly different than our digital downloads, we'll call it. Courses and coaching would be almost a substream, but a really big growing subset that people like myself have said, hey, I want to package up whatever expertise I might have and then sell it again en masse at scale. So let's look at a few of these e-commerce success stories. Some of them were during COVID, others after, or just kind of general neat stories that I've fallen in love with. One of my favorites was the Banff Hospitality Collective. This is a restaurant group out of Banff, Alberta. And during COVID, they had to make one simple page on their website. And I don't believe that Banff Hospitality Collective, the parent company to Park Restaurant and Distillery, the Eddie Burger Bar, High Rollers Bowling Club, and all of their other really, really neat restaurants and cafes. I don't think that the parent company website was very well traveled. We didn't really have a reason to go there. But this company was very smart to use that parent website, and thank goodness they had one, as its takeout hub, or its COVID curbside pickup, online ordering, takeout instructions, HQ. And what they were able to do is just add a page on their website that was /takeout, and then have quick links to every online menu right there of all of their various restaurants, where then you could order online, choose what kind of delivery you wanted, and ta-da, off you go. I believe they're keeping this. This is what's cool. You think about crystal balling your users and your prospects and customers. Well, look how many of us got used to ordering our food online, curbside, or takeout delivery during the pandemic, and how we still like it or want more of that. And we also got smarter about some of the food service apps, the delivery apps, I should say. And we want to support the restaurant directly, and we know that it's important to go right to their website, but you got to make it easy on me so that I don't go use DoorDash. So that was a really cool pivot, and it was a simple one-page website that connected to all of their existing online ordering systems. Another one, Eau Claire Distillery, one of my favorite companies here. These guys are so neat, and it's such an unbelievable experience when you visit this distillery. And they, have an online shop. They extended into, really neat incentives and free delivery when you were during the pandemic, or the original pivot, I would say. But the Cask Club is also a really neat membership for lovers of fine spirits and people who want that ongoing experience, and they're willing to commit to it, much like a box subscription. This multi-brand online store, this was right at the start of COVID, actually. So I'm going back a little bit, but I still love the example. Wild Tea Kombucha. These women created a online store for themselves really, really quickly, but they also brought in their friends. They brought in the other smaller retailers like themselves that maybe only had 2 or 3 products. And rather than segmenting themselves all over through hundreds of different or dozens of different e-commerce shops, WTK said, hey guys, come on in, we'll host the store and sell your products for you. And they called it WTK and Friends One-Stop Online Shop, which was really cool. And from there, I think some of these retailers would have gone out and created their own, but it was an amazing example of community and, the power of many coming together and creating a lot of ruckus with one site that actually did really well for Wild Tea Kombucha to grow their URL presence and their online domain traffic, and support all of these others who couldn't quite get the infrastructure together as fast as needed. What about the Royal Alberta Museum? They had to shift from a physical to a digital membership, as did so many entertainment or travel destination sites, or just many, many companies that were still hoping to maintain their memberships. Even gyms were in this category. And so how did they go beyond in order to keep people not only engaged, but subscribed and paying? Well, they had to get really, really deep and experimental, but exciting with some of their back-end content. So they took us behind the scenes a lot. They set up these cool cameras. They did all sorts of really neat kind of not meet the maker, but meet the curators and the experts behind their museum, and give their members all sorts of content that they wouldn't normally find just on their social feeds or blog. So it was really well done. Video channels, you could check in on the various exhibits through these live cameras, and it was pretty awesome. A number of zoos did the same thing, and good on them, because I think they kept a lot of us really connected and loyal to their establishments. And finally, I'll mention Mindful Meditation. This is one of my favorite companies out of New York, actually. And I've always admired it. I've always loved meditation, physical spaces, and any kind of studios I can find whenever I travel. I think they're so beautiful. They're like yoga studios to the next level. And this one was so cool because I've never been able to go to the physical space, but during COVID, they had to fire up a membership. So suddenly now, just like so many other gyms or studios, they had a membership where you could take the classes online, and they ran it through Kajabi, which was really cool. So I'm pointing this out because of their multi-platform solution here. And sometimes that's not ideal at all, but sometimes it works really well. This is what we do at Social School because we know we need Kajabi for our academy. So we employ a subdomain which goes in front of our domain. So we're still rising all tides of our parent domain, socialschool.io, by sticking a subdomain in front of it. academy.socialschool.io is our Kajabi site, which we can customize the URL for. Our membership site is our community. We host that on Mighty Networks because it's an incredible alternative to Facebook groups, and Kajabi doesn't quite get there, and Squarespace's membership opportunity doesn't quite get there. So yes, we use Mighty Networks, and that is community.socialschool.io. And then, a few others, support.socialschool.io. But bottom line, we're using multiple platforms where we have to, if we have to, and this is what they're doing as well. Their shop is hosted on Shopify, their streaming classes are on Kajabi, and their parent website was built on WordPress. So don't be afraid if you have to have an alternative. Just make sure that you've got the URL mapping in place or someone to help you customize those in a way that doesn't feel clunky and that your branding is seamless across them. And you can employ any which way you want. If you love your current website but it doesn't do something, I promise you there's a way to do it. I will see you in Module 3 for platform comparison, and we'll keep rolling along.